Oh, I can almost believe I'm Michel Mouton in an Audi Quattro on a rally stage somewhere. That noise is just so evocative. I have considered a lot of cars when it comes to replacing Bella de Bolingo. What would be an ideal family wagon? Tim at Cambrian Classics Limited has constantly shoved this thing under my nose. He's actually their daily driver. His wife does most of the driving in it. It's done over 200,000 miles. It's got a 5-cylinder engine, some off-road ability. It's a great towing vehicle. I happen to think it looks very handsome. But what is it actually like? It's been on the channel a few times, floating around in the background, taking part in collection missions. But what is it really like? Let's finally have a detailed walk around the Volvo XC70 third generation. I say third, but actually it's the V70 it's based on, but was in the third generation. They did a sort of an off-roadery type one at first, but just called it the cross country. And the XC70 tag was applied during the production run of the second generation, which was the first one to really introduce the hip kink, the classic Volvo hip kink. But this third generation ran away with that idea, and I still think it's a very attractive estate car, and it's a proper look, upright back, none of this sporty tourer nonsense. That's a proper useful shape of estate. It's got all-wheel drive, it's got a D5 engine producing over 211 I think brake horsepower and an awful lot of torque. So it's like a detuned version of the XC60 we drove recently. It doesn't bear closer examination. He said wheels are a bit of a state. And the paint, oh my days, the paint is ruined. It's got so many scratches and swirls because it's been going down narrow country lanes for most of its life. I don't think you can really see, but there's plenty. It's like lane rash is what the 4x4 folk call it. So yeah, it is not a beautiful prime example, but that's why I'm here. We want to know, does the Volvo XC70 make sense as daily transport? I think we should start by examining the power plant. You could have everything in this car from a 2-litre 4-cylinder up to a 3.2 litre 6-cylinder, and lots of 5s in between. So let's see what this one's got. Well, don't get too excited. It's the classic black plastic lump, but somewhere in there is an engine. Let's see. It has had a timing belt changed at 113,000 miles. I have a feeling it's been done again since, but yeah, you can't see an awful lot. But rest assured, there is a 5-cylinder turbo diesel under that plastic lump. 5-cylinder fits quite nicely in a transverse layout. The 6s were a bit more compromised in terms of steering angle that was permissible, and gearboxes. But yeah, I think 5 is the number to go for, and it was a very Volvo thing. From the Volvo 850 onwards, 5-cylinder engines were a Volvo speciality, and that's good because they sound awesome. At the rear we have all the unnecessary weight and complication of an electronic tailgate. It still works, unlike a certain XC60 we tested recently. We've got this lovely accessory load area cover. That's Kira the dog's bed for when she's travelling back here. I assume you could have a 7-seat, but maybe you couldn't because rear-facing seats were starting to become a bit frowned upon. Lovely accessory dog guard as well. Look, it's even got like hydraulics built into that. Very, very impressive. But yeah, huge load area, very capacious. And then when you're done, just press the button and it closes itself. It is quite smart, I have to admit. But let's head inside for a look at the interior. And this is where things get really good, I think. Apart from the fact the sun is right in our eyes. So I might just move the car around for better visibility. A very pleasant interior then. We've got some old school inbuilt screen nonsense, but it's not too offensive. This is your key. It just slots into the dashboard and then you press the button to start. All the buttons in the world, 1,000,001 different buttons, and this is why touch screens became a thing, because there is so much the car can do now, and if you try and have a button for every function, you end up with buttons all over the place. There's rather a lot of them. There's you can adjust the adaptive cruise control. It's got lane departure, thankfully turned off and stays off. But these buttons at the bottom of the temperature allow you to set the front seat heat, which is nice. Digital climate control. These are radio controls, and I assume there's a CD slot. But it's got the whole floating dash thing that was very much Volvo's design language. And I like the look of the gear lever. It's Tiptronic, so you can slot it across and go up and down the gears manually. Why on earth would you do that? I have no idea really, other than if you're going uphill and it's really twisty, it can be nice to lock it in a gear so it doesn't keep going on back up the gearbox every time you ease off. Two huge meaty cup holders down here, and here we've got various types of storage. Oh, I see, when that isn't in there, you can slide that down over there, but that's got various devices plugged in. I'm not going to meddle, but yeah, a useful amount of stuff can be hidden away there. And these seats are just gloriously comfortable. I've done a lot of miles in this car. We once drove it to London and back in a day, and it was supremely comfortable. It's going to have a nose in the glove box. Well, yeah, you can get some documents in there. That's kind of about it really, but lots of storage in the doors, so that's quite good. More switchgear over here, more switchgear over here. The wiper stalk, there you go, and variable intermittent, and the rear wiper control on the end there. I don't really know what this does. There's twiddly dials there as well, I can't quite see. There we go, info reset. Lots of stuff you can meddle around with, but I just love the look of the binnacles, although I seem to recall these don't illuminate perfectly at night. But let's start the engine. And I like that tiny little needle that just buzzes around the outside of the dial. Oh, such a lovely sound. And there you go, 224,000 miles on the clock. This has done more miles than my Ford Fairmont AU even. It is a lot. But like I say, it's just such a lovely place to sit. These seats just so comfortable. They're a bit like, they remind me of Mercedes seats, but you get in, you don't instantly think, you think, oh, they're actually a bit firm. But once you've been sat here for a few hours, believe me, it is blissfully comfortable. And the engine noise is much less than that XC70 we drove. That was quite a noisy thing. This seems a little more kept in check. You do hear some creaks almost from the structure as you're going along, but of course it is just a big oblong box, so maybe that explains it. But let's turn the engine back off, because we haven't sat in the rear yet. And in truth, I haven't actually sat in the back of it yet, but yeah, plenty of headroom. I'm 5'9". I've got plenty of knee room as well. Slight fault of modern cars, I can't easily get my feet under the seat in front, not very comfortably anyway. The seat comes very close to the ground. Yeah, we've got a nice little grab handle there. We've got vents in the back, grab handles up here with the old soft close. That's always nice. We've got some lights here. Your obligatory 12-volt power access for charging your goodies. Gosh, how I wish my cars had something like that in the back. And that's just design. I don't think we've got, oh, we've got a little cubby here. Maybe once upon a time there would have been a cubby here, but apparently not now. Storage in the back of the seats here, and of course we've got this that folds down, and more cup holders hidden in the armrest. Oh, Ella, have you been hiding crisp bags in the back of the car? Oh, and I can't demonstrate it one-handed very easily, but you can actually raise that up for a third head restraint. So the default position is that is down for better view, because how often do you actually have 5 adults in a car? But again, very comfortable, shapely leather seats. Yeah, nice place to sit. I'll fire up the engine again.
Halo active.
The halo is active, whatever that means. And oh, classic FM. Not now, not now. Go away. Shh, shh. So wiper test, and it's a good performance. The headlamps are also getting a wash out there because the headlamps are on. They don't need to be on, but Volvo, you got to look the part. And then we've got the important business of the rear wiper test. I'll flip you around for that. So it's a bit difficult to see, but the rear wiper, there we go, a good wiping performance. I love the fact it isn't a window through the glass, so actually the bodywork goes up to accommodate that rear wiper, and I think it gives a preferential wiping pattern as well. But let's get you in the mount and take this car for a drive. And because this car is fairly wide, I can kind of give you the driver's eye view almost. So into drive, we'll get a few dribbles away. So I will try and look up the stats. There are so many engine options, it's really difficult to know what this has actually got, but I believe it's the 212 brake horsepower engine. I'll find out the torque figure for you. And I believe it's a 5-speed automatic gearbox. I think the XC models, because they're 4-wheel drive generally, have a different gearbox. I believe in America you could have an XC that was just front-wheel drive. At this point, I'd just like to make it clear that the suspension on this 220-odd thousand mile car is completely factory. It's had some track rod ends done, and that really is it. Quite astonishing. So as we ease our way out of Aberaeron, up to 30 now, I can see the national speed limit. So as we approach it, I'm going to knock the gear lever across into sport mode. It's already kicking down, it's ready for action. Ooh, yeah, that gets up to 60, no trouble at all. Back into drive. And it just makes such a lovely noise. I never tire of 5-cylinder engines. That warble, that slightly offbeat noise, absolutely joyous. And yeah, every time I've taken this car somewhere, I've very much enjoyed the experience, mostly because of the noise, but also because of the comfort, the refinement. Despite the fact the door mirrors are absolutely enormous, they don't seem to generate too much noise. And brakes, naturally, very powerful. It has got blind spot alert, but it very frequently gets triggered by sunshine and random things. So I'm glad it isn't too onerous. It's just this little light illuminates, that's all it is. But it does quite frequently get it wrong. Right, into sport mode again. And up this very steep hill. And here is the problem. When you meet other traffic, this is a big car. But, I mean, this hill, this is a steep hill and it's just going up it beautifully. It's a really smooth gearbox as well. The only problem Tim's had with this car really was a gearbox fault. It began shifting really violently, and Tim went and actually got it looked at by a garage, and they were like, $4 grand, you're gonna have to put a new transmission in it. Turned out to be a tiny little vacuum pipe, but Tim thankfully managed to spot. He replaced that. It's been good as gold, but oh my gosh, it goes around bends like you wouldn't really believe. It generates so much grip. Nothing to do with a 4-wheel drive, of course. It's obviously just got decent tyres on it and a nice suspension setup. 4-wheel drive does not give you grip, it only gives you traction. So it means you get more bite coming out of a bend in slippy conditions, but in terms of overall cornering speed, 4-wheel drive is no advantage at all. Arguably rather less because you're carrying more weight around. But this has done a lot of towing, it has towed horse boxes, so having all-wheel drive has definitely been an advantage, especially in here where the roads get so muddy and it's so easy to just light up one tyre when you've got a big weight on the back. But oh my god, it turns in like you wouldn't believe. It's very keen, lovely steering. And always with the reassurance that you've got those powerful brakes to back you up. Oh yeah. So yes, it's the boring, sensible family car. You know, very good in the end cap safety and very practical. But when you want it to, this car can actually be good fun. Not a sports car, but entertaining enough on a twisty Welsh lane perhaps. Obviously this is a world away from French vans with windows, and I was gonna say the running costs could arguably be a lot higher with this car. I think the tyres would be a great deal more, and service items perhaps. And there is stuff that can go wrong. The automatic gearboxes can be problematic, and I believe the Haldex units similarly can give trouble. But it is worth noting, try finding one of these with less than 170,000 miles on it. They just don't really exist. People who buy these cars hold on to them and just keep putting on the miles. I don't think Claire and Tim really know what to replace this car with, so they haven't. They've just kept it. And I can fully understand why. Obviously, everything these days is an SUV, and this isn't an SUV. This is a jacked up estate. It's more a Subaru Legacy, or if you want to go a bit further back in time and to the other side of the Atlantic, an AMC Eagle. And or you know, you got the dangled conversions of Peugeots. There's quite a long history of jacked up estates, and I don't think this suffers for it at all. I think it's probably more spacious for not being an SUV. I don't know, is that a national speed limit sign? How tedious. That is smooth and punchy. But on a run, this can top 40 mpg in a way my car definitely cannot. It is not even a little bit interested. Can push 30 on a run, but yeah, the idea of wafting along at this at 40 is quite appealing. But yeah, tiny lanes where this car has lived for most of its life, and it's quite used to scenarios like this. Oh, I can almost believe I'm Michel Mouton in an Audi Quattro on a rally stage somewhere. That noise is just so evocative. The ride is pretty decent. It's a little on the firm side for my tastes, but it's very well damped, and it never seems to stop being comfortable. So it's very impressive. There's a lot of body here to try and control, and it just seems to do it really well. Every time I drive this car, I end up on the classifieds hunting for that, you know, elusive low mileage V70 or XC70. And I think at some point I'm just going to have to bite the bullet before there aren't any left. I need that noise in my life. It's really nice. It does really nice down changes, perhaps because I'm in sport mode. It's just banging its way back down the gears. Banging's a bit unfair. It's actually doing it very smoothly. And because you got four-wheel drive, you can just come out of a junction nice and quick. I remember when I had my first Subaru Impreza. That's one of the things that amazed me. Wet roundabout, floor it, and you just launch. When you look at what you can get for your money these days, I think these cars have an awful lot to offer. 60 miles an hour, we're doing about 1600 RPM. That's relaxing. I'll tell you what's interesting. It's how sport mode in the XC60 we drove, which was an R-Line with the Polestar package, just made it rev unnecessarily, frankly. But this doesn't have quite the low down dirty grunt that had. That had a more powerful engine, and the torque was fearsome. So you could build up quite the head of speed without having to really sort of strain it. This in normal mode does feel a lot more lazy. So you either have to make it kick down or chuck it into sport mode to access the power. That XC60 was just fearsomely quick without even trying. It was very intriguing. It kind of reminded me of the turbocharged Bentleys with that 6.75 litre V8, the later ones with the low pressure turbo, were just uncannily quick with no revs, and that's what that felt like. This, you do have to get your foot down and get it working to get moving quickly. But the flip side of that is just so very relaxing when you're not in a thrill-a-minute mode and you just want to get somewhere. And there's a lot to be said about a car that is relaxing in those circumstances. It does make me question why am I putting up with a van with windows that never works? Gosh, who thought the sun would be an issue in Wales? But there we go. Once again, I've driven Tim's Volvo. Once again, I think I've fallen in love with it. It's just a lovely package. And once again, I will be scouring the classifieds as soon as I get into the edit suite. But yeah, thanks Tim for letting me drive it again. And thanks you for watching. Channel memberships, that is the thing. It's a great way of supporting the channel. £1.99 a month. And we got emojis, we've got weekly update vlogs. There's a lot we try and give you in return for your £1.99. So a great way to support us. Look at the description below. But otherwise, thanks for watching. We'll see you soon. Bye. Oh, that's a pretty effect. It isn't doing that in real life, I promise you. Yep, we're in Wales. So there you go, that's the car I've fallen in love with. Oh my gosh. Can I have a bit of quiet, please? This may not be the spot.